Daniel Defoe, who was born in 1660 and died in 1731, is one of the most prominent novelists of the Augustan Age. This is so because Robinson Crusoe, in particular, which is considered also his masterpiece, is also considered the first modern novel of English literature. Alongside Robinson Crusoe in this video lesson, we will also analyze the fortunes and misfortunes of Mole Flanders. And the reason is because the two novels are considered as the two faces of the same issue, meaning the rise of the middle class in the first place, and the two different aspects of the middle class. The one that regards a male protagonist, therefore Robinson Crusoe, and on the other side, a female protagonist, Mole Flanders. We will see during this analysis how Daniel Defoe changes his political outlook on the Augustan Age in general. As a matter of fact, if in the first novel, which was published in 1719, Robinson Crusoe, Mr. Defoe celebrates all the major characteristics of the Augustan Age and celebrates the birth of the middle class, of which Robinson Crusoe is the perfect representative. As time passes and during the years in which he writes the second novel, Mole Flanders, we will see that there is also a shift in Defoe's attitude towards the Augustan Age, and some criticism surfaces compared to the main idea that was conveyed in Robinson Crusoe. Therefore, there is no longer the celebration of the Augustan Age in general, or he doesn't champion the middle class man as he did in Robinson Crusoe. He shows in the second novel the hardships and the disadvantages that were present during the Augustan Age, and that affected especially the life of women. And this will become quite clear as we analyze both novels. We will begin with Robinson Crusoe, of course, not only because it was published before Mole Flanders, but because, like we have said, it is generally considered the first modern novel of English literature. Both novels are very realistic novels, in the sense that the aim of the author is to present to his readers a true-to-life development of events recorded while these events take place, therefore during the lifetime of both protagonists, and they are presented to the public, though in later years. In other words, after all these events have taken place and when both protagonists have retired, so to speak, to private life. It is also considered a realistic technique, that of introducing in the preface of both novels an introductory note of the publisher. In this case, though, the publisher is the author himself, in which he says that he has found either a collection of letters or manuscripts in the form of a journal that both main characters have left behind, where they tell their stories as they unfold before their eyes during their lifetime. Another realistic element that is especially present in Mole Flanders is, for instance, the fact that the author takes great pains in introducing specific facts that will easily connect the novel to the time in which the protagonists are said to be living. So, for instance, the name of cities, or perhaps current events that took place during that time. These are all small elements that Defoe uses to portray a realistic picture to the reader in order to capture his or her attention. But let's take a closer look on to Robinson Crusoe. The novel is divided into three main sections. The first section is the beginning, where it all starts, and it portrays a young Robinson Crusoe at the age of 19, who, against his father's wishes, sails for the colonies and begins his adventurous life, where and lands in Brazil, where he starts a plantation. During his trip to Africa, in order to buy slaves for his plantation, there is a shipwreck, and the protagonist is uh, shipwrecked in what he considers a desert island. And this is where the second part of the novel, or second section of the novel, begins, which is the bulk of the entire novel. He lives as a castaway in this island for nearly 20 years, and this section of the novel describes how the protagonist survives for all those years, stranded and alone in an unknown place where there is no help that can be found, and where he celebrates the middle class man and the ability of this um, new man to tackle the difficulties that he encounters in this desert, in this deserted island, and applying he survives and overcomes the difficulties by applying the specific learnings and competences of the new of the new man of his time, the typical middle class man. The last part of the novel, or the last section, regards the last part of Robinson Crusoe life. In other words, when he is rescued from the deserted island where he is shipwrecked, and how, upon returning to England, he learns that his Brazilian um, plantation has prospered despite his absence, and he finds to be celebrated upon his return to England as a successful man, and this is where he lives the last years of his life, and when he decides to tell his story to the reading public in order to share his experiences and what he has learned. There are many elements in this novel that underline the specific traits of the Augustan Age and of the new social class rising and in this historical context. The first specific element is certainly the fact that it is a celebration of this new social class coming to power. Therefore, the novel underlines all the positive aspects. Another element is that of the faith that the new emerging middle class individual has in his own powers and in his own ability, despite the fact that he believes in God, to shape his life and to mold his life and his destiny. Therefore, he's no longer um, um, in the hands of the divine, but he can take it upon himself to change um, to overcome the obstacles that he may encounter during his during his lifetime. And how does this come about? This comes about because, like a true mercantilistic man of his time, Robinson Crusoe sort of replicates in this deserted island the same exact type of lifestyle that he carried on while he was in his own society, and therefore he recreates the same type of proto society that he had left behind in England. We can see that by the fact that during the narration he clearly states that the first thing that he does is to make an inventory of all the supplies that he can save from the shipwreck, taking them out onto the sand. So he categorizes everything that he has been able to save. He makes an inventory and tries to elaborate a plan through which he can sort of foresee how long all the supplies would last. Another element is the fact that he writes a journal day by day, recording everything he discovers during his stay, his daily routine. And this is also another element of the methodical approach to life that he has, that also emphasizes the mercantilistic philosophy of the man of this time. At the same time, there are also elements that can tell us that the individual of the Augustan Age was deeply racist without perhaps acknowledging it, the racism in himself. And we can see this in the description of the man servant that assists Robinson in his daily activity. This person is a local, meaning that it is not, in fact, a deserted island, as the protagonist first tells his reader, but when he describes it as a deserted island, what he actually means is that he is the only Westerner on the island. As the events develop, he encounters this local whom he saves from danger, and whom he calls Man Friday because he saved him on a Friday. This underlines the fact that Robinson Crusoe rejects the idea of even acquiring or acknowledging a personal identity to the local that he has met, and decides to bestow upon him a name of his own decision that somehow undermines the identity of Man Friday, and emphasizes the fact that Robinson disregards anything that can be of cultural importance uh, for Man Friday, but while at the same time underlining his superiority as a Western civilized man. We will continue